Alright, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the CSV format that is generated by the code which scrapes the website. So the format that I'm using is actually it's a fairly straightforward format. You just have a list of columns and you have to make sure that they are populated with the right information, and it's actually based on a different CSV importer tool that I built, which is just for regular chatbots. And it's not, that is the original tool is not meant for website chatbots. It's just meant for the chatbots which you can have like on a web demo or something like that. And that tool had a list of columns, and I have mostly replicated the same list of columns here. So you start with the ID field being like the sort of the identifier that it indicates that it's a new intent, or like, it's the start of a new intent. You can see that you have these 3 rows marked with ID 1. So these are all like the same intent, and then you have 2, and then you have 3, and so on. By the way, this CSV file is not the full file that was generated, but it's just it has, like, you can see that it has about the top 100 rows from the generated CSV file. And the next column is just the name you want to provide for the intent. And notice that you have to only mention it once, and that's enough. Like, you have to make sure that when this intent starts based on this ID, like when you have a new ID in one of these rows, it should have the intent name in that same row. And then you have this list of queries. So these are the training phrases. So I've got these variants of these training phrases. You can see that it's based on the name of so this is example bots is the name of the course, and then selection triggers next intent is the name of the section, and then telegram integration is the name of the lesson. So I have just dumped that as a string into the first query, into the first training phrase on that intent. But then you can see that I have prefixed it with any course on, and then that's followed by the same text which is over here. And in the third case, it's the phrase, that is the lesson name, and then it's followed by the word course. So I'm just imagining people will say course on, topic name, or they will provide the topic name first and then follow it up with the the word course. And then, so here is where the CSV format that we are handling here is different from the CSV format I used for the original importer. You can see that the title or the name of this column is simple response 1. So what we do is we take whatever content is inside this, whatever string is inside this column, and it is going to be used as the simple response in the Google Assistant tab. What I mean is, it's not going to go into the default response tab. Instead, it's going to go into the Google Assistant tab. I'm talking about the Dialogflow web console. So you have a second response. You can have like multiple responses coming back. So this is like the second response. And also notice that I have this column called link title and link URL. This is what allows us to define the hyperlink, which is specified as when you saw the demo, it came back with the hyperlink which I was able to click. So this is what is written out as the anchor text for that hyperlink, and then this is what is the URL that is actually going to be which you will navigate to if you were to click on that link. And then you see that I have these suggestions, but notice that suggestions is actually you can have like multiple values, and you have to put each value as multiple fields in that, or rather you have to have them as multiple entries under the same column, so that you can see that it's all within the same intent ID. Though the idea is that the number of suggestions is basically unknown, so you cannot have it go like horizontally. It has to be vertical, because you can if you think about it, if you were to put like columns for each suggestion chip, that means you will not have a way to know how many columns you can have. Well, it's actually, there is a limit. I think there's 10 is the maximum number of chips that you can have, but it will not be intuitive for people if they were to see like a list of 10 suggestion columns here. It will be easy it's easy for people to get confused. And then you have the input context name, and I don't use input context on any of these intents. and then I have the output context name and then the lifespan. You can also notice that just like you are able to do for the suggestions, the output context, you can have a list of output contexts. As you know, you don't have to restrict yourself to single output context. You can have multiple output contexts, and you can use them. As you can see, what you can do is you can use them here. Okay, you can do the same thing for the input context also, just to be clear. The idea is that for the output context, you should have a lifespan though, because every output context is also associated with the lifespan. So that's the structure of the CSV file that we are going to use. And as I mentioned, this is mostly, it's a fairly simplistic format, and I don't, this format for now is not going to support the other rich responses which you can have in the Google Assistant tab. So coming back to this flowchart, what I'm pointing out here is that this format is geared towards what you want to generate. That is, we are focused on a specific kind of rich website chatbot that we are interested in, and so I have created a CSV format which is suitable for that purpose. In the next, in a future lesson, I will actually show you how you can take this CSV file and then turn it into an agent zip file.